Hey there, everybody. Mac Antigua here with
Stephen Bauer.
And out there, I got my guy,
Hi.
RJ Mercede. Mercede?
Mercede, yeah.
Mercede. Public Allies alum and staff alum, Connecticut. The reason why we're here together is to have a conversation about Independent Sector's NGen Fellows program, which is recruiting for 2019 fellowship class. And RJ was so kind of us. He was interested in this. He was so kind of us to have our public conversation about it. And so this is just a primer for all you Public Allies alum that are watching there, might be interested in this. My quick thing is I was a fellow cohort member in 2010.
I was a cohort member, NGen cohort member in 13-14.
Awesome. And for those that are, and RJ is going to be class of 2019 or 2020, right? No jinxing, my guy. But real quick, Independent Sector is a national nonprofit network that is trying to increase just the quality of work in the field of the social sector, which includes philanthropy and nonprofits, right? And so part of their work is they have leadership development. And so this is what we're speaking about. So that being said, RJ, you got questions. We'll share our answers, and we'll also share just a link to the site so you can visually see what we're talking about. So RJ, real quick, just before we go, what are you currently doing now, and why do you think you're interested in this experience?
Yeah, well, hey everybody. Thanks again, Mac and Steve. So about 6 months ago, I left my last job, kind of jumped out into the unknown and started working for a startup nonprofit called Hilarity for Charity. It's a national organization founded by Seth Rogen and Laura Miller Rogen, dedicated to accelerating progress in Alzheimer's care, support, and research. They established their own nonprofit status at the end of 2017. So they basically hired 3 staff and we're building everything up. So it's an exciting opportunity to kind of bring the different skill sets that I've come to kind of learn about myself through Public Allies and my last job at my local community foundation, but to really use our voice on a national scale. And I think something like this program is just a really unique opportunity for me to build my kind of network of peers from different types of sectors across the country, but to think a little bit deeper about really what's the angle we're trying to get. So thinking about the results and really the system change that we're trying to do.
Awesome. That's great stuff. And as you're sharing right now, you probably see on the screen a link to we have the actual website, independentsector.org. If you go to their programming, NGen Fellows program, and just for those who are watching, you can learn more about it by going over there. And this is the program that we're talking about. So RJ, we promised we'd answer your questions.
Secrets revealed.
And secrets revealed. Go for it. And we got 10 minutes to do this. What do you got? Hit us.
Cool. So first question, one of the big things around the NGen program is that it's helping leaders gain access to the people and skills to scale their change work. So I kind of mentioned that a little bit. We're doing some really amazing work around the country right now, but want to think about how we can be doing more. So just was curious if you two could share a little bit about this program and what it meant to you and Public Allies, but really how it related to scaling your work.
Sure, I'll start. Like I said, I was in the cohort in 2013-14, and I think the way that it helped me on a couple of different fronts. One, at that point, it was all about leadership development, right? And so we took a long time to really kind of delve into our own leadership voices, what that meant, how do we exist in this ecosystem, much like Public Allies does with our programming throughout the country, but sort of at an executive level that was fresh, that I hadn't been through before. And so I think the way that it accelerated me is it forced me to look at my leadership style, the way that I engaged with others, and then how do you move the needle with folks that are different from you, that come from different types of organizations doing different things, but you may come to surround and try to promote a common cause. And so that's sort of the academic thing that I think I did that was good. But from the social aspect and sort of the networking aspect, I met and became very good friends with 12 other fellows or 11 other fellows in my cohort that were all seeking to do the same sort of thing, develop their leadership style, but also lead their organizations in various ways, different folks from a lot of different kinds and types of organizations with very different mission areas. But we were able to come together, learn from each other, and figure out a way to support each other. And so I walked away from the NGen Fellowship with this network of very tightly knit peers that when at a moment's notice, I could pick up the phone and I could talk through, like, here's an issue that I'm dealing with. You know, what's your take on it? How can I think through this? What am I missing? What are my blind spots, given the fact that we know each other around this? And I think too, one of the pieces that came out of that was a formal way to review, kind of a protocol for how to review where you are and issues that you're dealing with in a very sort of objective way, but to help you get clarity around what you're trying to do. That may seem a little amorphous, but we've all been in those situations where you're facing a very complex problem and you need help thinking about just how to think about it. Not necessarily what the right answer is, but just how to think about it and comprehend it. And that network of NGen Fellows has helped me on multiple occasions do that and talk through things and help me problem solve for my work and my profession. I try to give that back as much as possible too. So it's around sort of the knowledge of how to grow my own voice, but then also this peer network of individuals that have helped me through a number of tight spots, and I try to help them as much as I can too.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, ditto. And not to be facetious, I think anything I would say would just sort of mirror that. Even though it's 4 years earlier, I think what's Steve got the benefit of it is like 4 years of iteration of how to do that programming, and you're going to get the benefit of 5 years in addition to what Steve was talking about. And I say this as just pointing out, you know, on the screen here, the outcomes. This was not developed as deeply as when I was in it, right? So, and I know actually the faculty, one of the faculty members is Paul Schmitz that'll be delivering this, so we kind of know Paul. From talking to him, he's talking about how they really are driving results-focused work, so that's part of it. And speaking to your point, this work only matters if it's only, when I say work only matters, we're trying to get change at a population level. So when it talks about your desire to scale your work, I think this is a really great lab, if you will, experience to do that. Even better than when Steve did it and I did it. And Steve really talked quite eloquently about how awesome it was even back then. So that'd be my +1.
Awesome.
What about you? What's next, RJ? What else you got?
So Steve, you kind of talked about some of the other fellows. Would just be curious to know a little bit more about what they were doing and how you've remained connected with them. I know you kind of said helped out in some tough spots or just helped you to kind of think differently, but we just learn to love, even if it's just like 1 or 2 examples of people that you connected with in the program and how you've stayed connected with them.
Sure. Mac pulled up the quote unquote funny picture from our cohort. I'm so glad that's the one Independent Sector was using to promote our class.
Hey, at least you have a photo on it. Anything before 2014 technically didn't exist, barely. So go ahead.
So I'm the one sans beard in the back who looks ultimately surprised. Everybody else just going for fun, happy. I thought surprise was a better look. But anyway, I look at that class and I see a number of leaders. So Terry Broussard-Williams, who is the woman right in front of me, she is and was working for the American Heart Association. She's advanced up in their ranks. And she's actually not only doing her day job, which is advocating for health policy across the country relative to the American Heart Association, but also she's launched sort of this whole leadership development brand of her own to support young leaders to build movement and kind of light fires, in her words, for that. Additionally, Blair Glenclose in the middle, he was actually the founder of an organization called Accountability Lab that works internationally to bring accountability to, let's just say, questionable regimes and questionable areas where accountability is needed just to get a basic level of life and governance. And so his organization holds governments, judiciaries, elected officials, all of those accountable for that across the country, across the world. And he's won, his organization has won a number of claims. So all of these folks, Monisha Capillo with ProInspire, I mean, like, it's amazing what these individuals are doing in their own right, but the fact that we now have a network together where we're supporting each other, I think, is even more amazing.
Yeah, like a joke, they don't have our class photo up, but some folks from my group, and again, not just from my group, but even the classes before and after, I named somebody like Trish Choom, She's now at the Center for Community Change, but she was the first executive director of Young Nonprofit Professionals Network. Kevin Flynn, who's now at Team Impact, but he's formerly vice president at Common Good Careers for Recruiting. And I joke that Kevin was like my agent in the nonprofit sector. So there are people like you just build relationships with, even not just in your class, but even across class, because you have this connection that you do a really good job of like people coming back to the Independent Sector Conference and doing that. And I could probably name 15 more. And I think that speaks to the sort of level of intimacy and connection you get, because as Steve said, you're vulnerably sharing what the work you're doing, and they try to create a container where you can dig deep into that and know that you're with colleagues that you can trust.
Yeah. Cool. So the other question I have is really on a little bit on the personal side. So thinking about like how did you personally grow from the program, but just trying to think about like who would you say is the right candidate for this type of program? Like I said, I'm still fairly new to the organization, but we've got some really interesting things in the pipe works. And now that I feel really grounded in the work that we do, I just want to make sure that this would be the right program for me right now.
So I have a couple different responses to that, and these are in no particular order. I will speak for our class, although I'm assuming, and I don't want to speak for Mac, but this is kind of common across all of the classes, that the folks that tend to be attracted to this kind of experience are folks that believe we work better together than apart. And I know that's kind of cliche to say in the nonprofit sector because everybody kind of believes that. But I think a lot of the folks, at least that I went through the fellowship with, had this notion of wanting to be a part of solutioneering beyond just their organization. So what is the way that we can build the sector and build impact beyond just what I'm doing in my day-to-day role? So you're going to learn a lot in this fellowship about how to improve the way you impact your organization and the work that you do. But how do you look even higher up than that at the sector, at our society, and get into this notion of like thinking beyond that. I think too, you got to have time. I know nobody ever has as much time as they want, but this is an intensive fellowship experience. It's probably one of the most sustained intensive experiences that I've had, multiple touch points throughout the year, multiple in-person gatherings. And so you have to be prepared to be able to commit to that time commitment within your job. And I will say too, these types of fellowships, and this one specifically, you get out of it what you put into it. And so if you're going to really maximize the value of this fellowship, that means contributing to the conversations and being as involved and open and vulnerable as you can to get the greatest amount of learning coming through. And so somebody has to be ready to do that with folks that you may have never met before, right? And you got to build that bond quick and jump into that role. I also think you got to have fun. I mean, yeah, we did the book learning, we did the project, we did all sort of the pieces, the components of it. But my cohort was just fun. Like, we liked to hang out. We always tried to get to wherever we were meeting the day before, so that we could have, some time in the evening before and get together and take a genuine interest in each other and our personal lives and our whole selves, if you will, not just the ones that we have in role in the organization. So, I mean, you got to be kind of a social person too.
So, RJ, I'm going to give you, that's like the brochure, and that's really well. I'm going to tell you how to win. Or I'm going to put you in the sense of like, so just give you background. Like, when I did the fellowship in 2010, afterwards I became the chair of the NGen programming, volunteer chair, right? Because they have staff, they invite folks to be help shaping their programming for like following 2 years. And so when I got a sense of, even though I wasn't on selection, I got a sense of what they're looking for, what they think. Because you got to, so here's the real, I think, again, this is not the official word of the independent sector. this is it. I'm trying to teach you how to crack the code. One, everybody's that's going to submit to this thing is awesome, right? So you're going to have to distinguish yourself. This is why I want you to distinguish yourself. How can you be vulnerable in the most difficult questions that you're trying to answer with your leadership? And this is going to be tough because you're going to have to be authentic, right? Because you're going to have to figure out what are you trying to solve? Like, what leadership problem are you hoping to, what is Hilarity for Charity really trying to solve? Yes, you're trying to raise money, obviously, to get rid of Alzheimer's, which is important, but I think that everybody's raising money for something. I think you need to delineate, what are you using this lab for? Like, what is something about that work that you're looking to crack or unlock that you couldn't do on your own? right? So that's one thing. And again, when I say vulnerable, everybody's going to try to show their best foot forward. I think you can do both, like, I'm awesome, and here's where I'm really struggling, or here's what I think this thing's going to leverage, because they don't want people who are just going to show up and be like, how great I am. They're going to be like, how do I get to ironing, sharpening iron? Like, I think they're going to be thinking about that. Another thing also to think about is think about your network, right? Think about where you all touch, because ultimately independent sector is trying to increase its scope as well, right? So again, I think David McKinney, Steve Bauer, me from Public Allies, I think one of the reasons why they kind of keep touching back to us is they know we're in touch with thousands of other leaders across the country, right? So like that's potentially what they tapped into. We can amplify that. So I think you need to think about, like, you are representing not just, H2C, Hilarity, H4C, but you're also representing other elements of yourself. How are you bringing that? When Steve says have fun, I think it's really share, like, that you're a full leader, right? Not just your work, but what are elements of yourself you're looking to work on in this. So I think those are the key things that you have to crack. And if you demonstrate someone who is a network mover, right? You're someone that already has influence or potentially has influence. I think that's going to make you really appealing to them, because they don't want to just bring 12 people that are just going to take something, go home. They're going to find 12 people that are actually going to keep spreading this stuff. When I say this stuff, it's this importance to scale. It's all these pieces in the relationships. I think that's how you crack the code. Final note about this is that one could look at the fear of, oh, this is a big investment of time. I would offer this, right, back to Public Allies. And this is relatively new, RJ, since you've been on. We believe that at Public Allies, right, your leadership development model is like a compass, right? There's 4 parts of it, right? There's individual reflection, but then are you in a cohort where people can hold you accountable, right? There's the learning of skill, and then there's the application, right? And so our thinking, right, when you do Public Allies, the apprenticeship does all 4, like it's built out. But after the apprenticeship, your goal is to keep those 4 alive in your way. I think this experience is a way to keep those 4 things intact. And if you can commit to that, like, I want to take the time for myself to reflect deeply, but I want to be with a group of other people that are going to hold me accountable, right? I'm going to do the book learning, but I'm actually going to apply it at my work. If you're going to commit to that circle, I think this is a heck of a container to do that. And that being said, even if you don't get into this, like, I think that's the approach you take for any leadership development approach. Am I doing these 4 things? And then I think it's less of a, oh man, this is a time commitment, because the worst thing, RJ, is, oh, I got to show up next week and I haven't done my assignment. That's a barometer that, like, maybe I'm not doing this the right way. It should be like, I'm doing the work all the time, and this is an overlay of how I might be doing the work. This is different. So I don't know if that helps you, but that would be my recommendation how you take it on.
Yeah, that was beautiful. I think it's getting me pumped up about this. So I appreciate it.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
So how are you right now as a result of this conversation? What is coming up for you as we wrap this up, or what is something you wish you knew more?
I don't know. I mean, I'm going to definitely keep thinking about it, but I definitely want to apply. I mean, I think just learning kind of the ability, all the results that are on there are exactly kind of where I'm at right now and where I want to be. So I think that it'll be challenging, it'll be rewarding, it'll be exciting and new. So I think I'm just going to apply and see what happens.
Another thing I do want to kind of throw out there, you can scroll back up to the top.
Yeah.
This is the American Express NGen Fellowship program. So American Express has graciously supported this program for a number of years now, but they also support other fellowship and other leadership development experiences. I had the honor and the opportunity to apply for and also get accepted to like their 2.0 fellowship experience. It's done with the Aspen Institute. But one of the prerequisites for that experience is that you had to have gone through an American Express NGen leadership development program previously. And so I just kind of wanted to put that extra caveat out there that I think, and I hope that American Express will continue to grow out the different types of leadership development experiences that they support. They support us here at Public Allies as well. And so that you can create, we're trying to figure out and look at and see how we can create a whole spectrum of leadership development experiences for folks all through their careers. And so I just wanted to put that extra caveat in there that this fellowship potentially continues to open doors for other leadership development experiences and other opportunities as well.
My thought is, like, RJ, you're in the right mindset for this. If you think you're ready, I think you're ready, right? And Steve and I are happy to nominate you. And if you're at home watching and you think you're ready, you're ready. And I want you to apply. Here's the caveat, obviously, you only got 12 spots. So just because you don't get in doesn't mean you're not worthy. It's just like, casting for a movie or casting for something. You just don't have to be that for at that time. But I will say this, if you let me know that you're interested in stuff like this, I will keep my eyes peeled, right? Like RJ, I know I will keep my eyes peeled. As Steve said, not just in the American Express universe, but in other parts that we touch, we want to refer folks to that. And so that's my plea for those at home. If you're going to apply for this or you want me to nominate you, email me at the email address we'll post it to put me on your radar and vice versa so we can keep looking for ops and let you know. So let's keep this more than just a one-time thing.
Cool.
RJ, you're going to crush it. Public Allies alum, if you're doing, you're going to crush it. Let us know. Otherwise, thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you both. Yeah, it's good to see your faces. Good to connect. So I appreciate it.
All right.